Hello, hello, my friends. This video is going up a little bit later than I initially planned, but today I'm going to be sharing with you what I purchased during the Caramel Sundays May restock. Now, Caramel Sundays is a brand that I've been shopping from for probably about 6 months now. They are a small business based out of Monroe, Georgia. I really like a lot of their products. I know that there have been some other people here on YouTube and over on Instagram. Honestly, you guys, there's been a lot of people over on Instagram that have been shopping from them a lot longer than I have. I actually was influenced by some of them, but I kind of, was one of the people who started talking about them here on YouTube, and I've seen some positive and negative. My take on it, you guys, is that all brands that I shop from, Kringle, Homeworks, Yankee, Bath and Body Works, they all have their hits or misses. They all have fragrances that perform better. They all have formats that perform better than others in my home. So I'm just here sharing with you guys what works for me, what doesn't. And in today's video, I just wanted to share with you what I purchased. Now, one of the things that I do always want to make clear on my channel is that I am not somebody who just shows you a haul and then you never hear about the candle again. I kind of take some pride in making sure that I deliver post-burn reviews, whether that is in the form of dedicated reviews, which honestly, you guys, those are usually my most in-depth candle reviews. I know that sometimes they run like 10 to 12 minutes usually, but that is where I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to share with you guys some of the nuances that I might notice about a candle, whereas when I do my candle chats twice a month, or when I do my empties, and even sometimes my declutter, oftentimes I'm sitting down and I'm talking about so many candles at once that sometimes I forget to mention, like there will be things that I'll look back in the editing and I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention that about this candle or whatnot. So anyways, if you are ever curious to know like the in-depth, if you're really interested in a particular fragrance, make sure that you be on the lookout for some of my detailed candle reviews, because that's where you're probably going to get the most information. So anyways, I don't know why I felt led to say that, but I think it's because I'm still seeing sometimes when other content creators are talking about this brand in particular, because they're kind of like a hot new brand and also their business model. Sometimes I see in the comment section where people are saying like, oh, it's only being pushed by like 3 or 4 influencers and they all have an agenda. And I'm like, I actually don't. I don't have any agenda other than I like this brand. And then they say, I'm looking for people to give reviews. And I'm like, well, I have been giving reviews. So anyways, you guys, you can tell it's still a little bit under my skin. But anyways, we're going to push that all aside here, and we are going to talk about what I purchased. If you like this video, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new, but let's go ahead and talk about what I purchased. So last month, in the month of May, I ended up having, we're just going to talk about this because they had quite a few different offerings. They had some laundry soap, they had perfume mists launch, they had a new fragrance in their household cleaner. And then, of course, they launched a couple of more 4-wicks, which honestly, you guys, when it comes to the candles, those are my preferred format. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start out with the like a repurchase for me, something that nobody would be surprised to see me repurchase. It is their Plain Jane Luxe Laundry Soap. Now, this is 32 fluid ounces. I put about 1/4 of a cup in each load that I use to wash this. And I do want to just say, I have a household of 5. It's my husband and I and our 3 kids. I don't use this for all of our clothing and whatnot because honestly, I actually don't like fragrance to be on my clothing. But what I do use this for are our towels and our sheets. I really like that. And so for me, it just has like a really nice fragrance, very similar to the Diva Wash, I think by Tyler Candle Co. Love this fragrance. It's got fragrance notes of earthy fruits, floral, and amber. And it's clean without being beachy. I get some of that amber floral. It's a really nice fragrance. Reminds me a little bit, if you guys buy Colleen Rothschild hair care, it kind of reminds me of the fragrance that's in their shampoo and deep conditioner. So really like that fragrance. Made sure I bought another one. While we are talking about cleaning, I did get my hands on the salted caramel pistachio household cleaner. I did end up purchasing 2 of these. Fragrance notes on here are pistachio, caramel, jasmine, and almond. I've already used this. Here's the thing with this fragrance. I believe that they marketed it in their stories, or they said that if you happen to like Sol de Janeiro 62, that this is very, very similar fragrance, and I would agree with that. Now, I did use that this morning. I've used this actually maybe like 3 times now. I used it right away when it came in, and then I actually just cleaned my kitchen before I sat down. Love this fragrance. I would say that it is in that family. Maybe not an exact dupe. I feel like it's maybe not as gourmand as that fragrance. Slightly a little bit more, like sweeter, slightly floral, I would say, but not like springtime floral. It's still definitely like the floral note that you pick up in the Boom Boom scent. But I love this fragrance. And I did see another creator here and a follower, Amy, said that she ordered this and she was not having a good experience. Hers was a little bit discolored. I told her, maybe it sounds like she got maybe a defective product, because mine is not coming out discolored, and the fragrance is actually pretty strong on mine. So I don't know. But anyways, I did purchase 2 of these. I think that these are $16.99, and the Plain Jane laundry soap is $24.99. Now, new products that they ended up launching were perfume mists, like I mentioned. So I went ahead and I purchased 2 of the perfume mists. I believe that these retail for $20.99. They are 1.35 fluid ounces. So I ended up getting the fragrance Vanilla Pistachio Suede, because you guys all know I love the way that Caramel Sundays does pistachio. And here's the thing. I like this fragrance, but there's part of me that's a little bit unsure of it, because I get the vanilla and the pistachio, which I love. The suede note is definitely in there. The suede note in here is very similar if you have their Boston perfume. I feel like that's a very similar fragrance. Here's the thing that I'm running into. Remember, for those of you who watched my personal fragrance haul, I talked about how sometimes I come to the realization that there are fragrance notes that I either love in home fragrance, and then I either don't like them on my body, or I like them on my body but not in home fragrance, or certain fragrance notes on my body with the like chemistry of my body chemistry, essentially, they don't always work well. So this is the one that I'm a little bit nervous about, because you guys, I've worn their Boston perfume a couple of times, and I like it. Like, I like it when I spray it on like a tester or whatnot. But the last couple of times that I've worn it on my skin, I actually didn't love it. And the reason why is because the suede note in there comes across almost like smoky, and not in like you're by the fireside type of smoky. It's very similar. I oftentimes laugh about this. So my friend Melanie, Mr. Khan's mom, she loves the fragrance by Seven Virtues called Vanilla Woods. And a lot of people love that fragrance. But she mentioned that some people comment and say, I don't like that fragrance because it reminds me a little bit of cigarette smoke. And I was like, yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't like Vanilla Woods because it smells kind of like cigarette smoke on my body. And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but I've found that that's the experience I've had with the Boston perfume, is that it's the suede note, the way that it mixes with my body chemistry. It does not smell good to my nose. My nose doesn't interpret it as a pleasant smell. But again, it's a very popular fragrance, and a lot of other people love that. So again, it's something that comes down to body chemistry. I mentioned in my personal fragrance thing that a lot of orange fragrances don't mingle with my body chemistry well. So all of that to say, that suede note that's in Boston, I do smell in here. And so I'm a little bit like on the fence about this. Now, that being said, this is a fragrance that I would wear more so like in the fall and winter. So I'm going to have to kind of wait it out to see how I like this one. But it is a nice fragrance. If you like Boston, if you like the suede note, you will like that. And then another fragrance that I purchased was the fragrance Griddle Cakes. Let's see. This has fragrance notes of warm, fluffy pancakes, powdered sugar, whipped cream, and maple. Now, if you caught my, like I said, the last personal fragrance haul that I did, I just purchased the Sniff Hot Cakes fragrance, and I told you guys that perfume with the saltwater vanilla, oh my gosh, smells so, so good. This smells similar to Sniff Hot Cakes. It's in that same family. And so I like this because I figure, well, this is a little bit of a smaller bottle. This is really easy for travel. So this is something that I can take when I travel, or, you know, keep it in my purse or whatnot to kind of like top off throughout the day if I'm out running errands. Very warm gourmand. You get the pancake, the powdered sugar, little bit of maple in there. You know, it's funny. We're going to talk about that here. Why don't we go ahead and talk about that? So griddle cakes, if you like Sniff's hot cakes, but you don't want to spend the money on the Sniff version, or maybe you want something that's a little bit more portable for travel, I would encourage you to get the griddle cakes. Okay, while we are talking about maple, I did show you guys this candle in the Caramel Sundays, my wish list video that I did for the May restock, because I said that I was able to purchase this through Saltbox Lane, which I believe is a local boutique to where they're located near to them in Georgia. And I was able to purchase this candle online prior to the launch. So, and that wasn't just exclusive to me, by the way. That's available to everybody. If you go on the Saltbox Lane website, once they have Caramel Sundays in stock, you can purchase that way. It kind of beats the rush of having to do the kind of the Hunger Games style when they have their restock days. But the trade-off is that you can't earn or redeem rewards points through Caramel Sundays, and you also get charged extra money for shipping. Anyways, I did end up purchasing Pistachio Pancakes. This was available in the 2-wick as well as the 4-wick 40 ounce. And here's the funny thing. I was watching, I think it was Lizzie, Hazel83, I think is her creator name here on YouTube. And she bought this and she said she smelled a bunch of maple. And I think it was Amy also that got this in a wax melt. And she said she smells a bunch of maple. And I'm sitting here sticking my nose in it. I still get that pistachio note. I get the pistachio note that Caramel Sundays is known for. I get the pistachio note. I get like warm pancakes in the background. But here's the thing. I have burned this candle one time already. You can see I got I haven't even trimmed off the carbon here. This candle, when it is burning, is definitely more pancake forward than it is pistachio. I would say that the pistachio note really takes a background, really kind of like fades into the background when this candle is burning. The fragrance notes on here, I do have it written down, are top notes of walnuts and pistachios, mid notes of sweet cream and fluffy pancakes, base note of almond, maple, whipped vanilla. So yeah, that fluffy pancake accord is what really comes out the most to me. I talked about I reviewed their blueberry pancakes, and I said that fragrance definitely smelled like pancakes on the griddle. And that's what I get in this fragrance too. This is a fragrance that initially I was thinking I wanted this in the 40 ounce, and I'm kind of glad that I just went with the 2-wick on this. First burn on this one, I don't really give like judgments on Caramel Sundays first burn, because I do find that most candles on first burn, although there's 2 here that I'm going to talk about that I've already burned and they performed really well for me. First burn, I find that sometimes it takes a little while, it takes a couple of hours to get it going. Now, this is a 100% soy wax, so these are candles that you don't really have to babysit a whole lot. If anything, I would trim the wicks after maybe like 3 hours, but then you can relight it and it's perfectly fine. And I do find that particularly with Caramel Sundays and Kringle, usually the first burns, if you really want to get like the fragrance going, you kind of got to let them burn more than say like an hour or 2. You got to get them going for a couple of hours. But this one for me, first burn was probably about a 6 in terms of strength and throw. I smelled it really well in the closed concept bedroom, but it got a little bit lost out here in the open concept. But I like it, but it's not something that I feel like is so unique that I needed backups of it. However, I did burn it with the oat milk and pistachio fragrance that I have in a 4-wick. I really hope at some point over the fall and winter that they bring that fragrance back, because it's incredible if you love their pistachio notes. But I was able to get my hands on a 4-wick candle that was on my wish list. It was my #1 priority candle, and it is the fragrance Banana Walnut Waffle. Now, we do have fragrance notes on Banana Walnut Waffle of top notes of banana, warm waffles, mid notes of sugar and candied pecans, and base note of maple and butter. And ooh, I gotta tell you guys, this one's really good. If you like a good banana gourmand fragrance, this is for you. On cold, I get that banana, but it's like, again, good gourmand banana. It's not Laffy Taffy artificial banana. This is, oh, you get some of the nuttiness in there. You get some, I get like maybe a little bit of pecan. in there. Walnut possibly, but walnut doesn't really have too much of an like fragrance to me. I get butter, but I don't get like a ton of maple in here. And that's the funny thing. I hear so many people saying like, "Oh, I detect maple." And I feel like maple is a very polarizing fragrance. I don't need maple in excess, but it's also a fragrance that I don't dislike either. I kind of feel either way about it. But I don't really detect maple in here. This fragrance, when I smelled it, it's funny, I unboxed it and I've had these sitting on my kitchen table for the last day and a half once I had it unboxed. And this fragrance kept wafting over to me. I feel like this is going to scratch the itch once I finish that 3-wick of Sugar Diamonds from Kringle, which is a repackage of Fruit and Flakes, which is a discontinued fragrance. I love that scent so much. There's a warmth to it that's kind of banana based, and I can't get my hands on any more of it. So I feel like this is going to scratch that itch. But again, I did purchase it in the 4-wick. Now this is $64.99. And here's the thing, you guys. I told you in my wish list video that there was a strategy for me, and I'm telling you, I knew that that one was going to be the first one to sell out, or I had a sneaking suspicion it would be. Sierra even said like, yeah, when I think they have like their Friday inbox and people ask questions, what's the most highest risk of selling out, and it was she said that she thought it would be the banana walnut waffle, and sure enough it was. So I mentioned, when you're shopping with caramel sundaes and you have your wish list ready to go, I literally, once I got that early access code, went in, added this to my cart, checked out, bam, got out of there, was not messing around. Then I went back in and purchased some extra products. In fact, I ended up, I think, placing like 3 or 4 orders here, because that's what I do, is I prioritize like, what do I want to get my hands on, check it out, get out, because the shipping cost is already built into each product. So banana walnut waffle. While we are talking about the 4-wicks, this was the one that I was like, I don't think I'm going to get it. Like I mentioned that I would, but then it was sitting there for like 2 hours after the restock. And I thought this one was going to sell out pretty quickly, but it did not. And so it was just sitting there tormenting me. And so I thought, you know what? By then I had another 15% off coupon. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and get it. And it is the fragrance Pecan Marshmallow, because fragrance notes of top notes of gooey marshmallow, mid notes of pecans, base note of caramel. I mean, this sounds like it's going to be the perfect blending fragrance for all of the fall candles that will be coming into our possession in the blink of an eye, pretty much. Caramel Sundays is launching fall, by the way, at the end of this month. Their next restock will be June 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're launching fall fragrances. And I'm not complaining about it. I love fall fragrances. They're probably my favorite to burn out of the entire year. But yeah, this is nice. I get a good pecan note in here. It's the same pecan note that was in their, they had like a pistachio pecan pudding that I had a couple of months ago. That was a great fragrance. I had it in a 2-wick, and I said if they brought it back in a 4-wick, I would get it. This reminds me quite a bit of that fragrance, actually, because of the pecan note. Little bit lighter. I don't get like a vanilla pudding like I had in that one. It is more of like just like a vanilla kind of marshmallow, maybe a tiny. I would say that the base note of caramel in there is probably to sweeten up some of that like vanilla base, because we all know vanillas can be a little bit difficult to formulate to make strong. But really my nose smells just like a really nice, pleasant pecan fragrance there. And like I said, I think that will blend well with a lot of candles that are already in my collection. You can blend it with pumpkin, you can blend it with apple, you can blend it with a bunch of stuff in the fall. So, and actually I think that that fragrance would pair really nicely with this banana walnut waffle. So I will have all sorts of fun stuff going on. But if you're thinking, Katie, you only went for all of the fall gourmand type of leaning things, no, I did not. I did not. I did end up purchasing 2 more fragrances that are marketed as summer fragrances. The first one is Summer Sorbet. Summer Sorbet has fragrance notes, top notes of apple, peach, red berries, and mandarin. Mid notes of bananas, sugar, and musk. Base note of lemon and limes. So that is like a ton of fruit being thrown in there, right? But let me tell you guys, this fragrance, the red berries they're talking about in here is strawberry. I'm definitely getting the strawberry note. It's a very sweet strawberry, very similar strawberry note to what they used in their ice cream sandwiches candle. Now that I would say is a completely different fragrance. This does not smell like ice cream sandwiches. Do I think that they would complement each other? Yes, I do. The ice cream sandwiches had more of that, like they had a little hint of that like chocolate wafer that you would get in like a packaged grocery store ice cream sandwich. That's not in this. But what I get in here, this smells like a strawberry sorbet to me. They even somehow, all of those notes together, like I think it must be like the sugar and the musk and then little elements of all of these other notes, like maybe it's banana, but this isn't a banana fragrance. They're lending kind of that, if you've had sorbet, it's not like a popsicle, but it's not like ice cream either. It's kind of like blended in between there, and they've captured that in this candle. That the I almost want to say, like, I don't even know how you would word this, but like they've captured the texture, what your tongue is telling your taste buds or your olfactory senses that you're tasting, um, in the smell of this candle. It's kind of a weird thing. I'm like, how do they do that? Um, but yeah, this is really nice. But this smells like a strawberry sorbet to me. That's really the most dominant note to my nose is strawberry. And I'm not mad at it. It's a really, really lovely strawberry. I like the way that they do strawberry. I wouldn't say that it's 100% an authentic strawberry, slightly artificial, but not too candied. But yeah, this is a really, really nice fragrance. And I'm going to tell you guys, I burned this in a hurricane the other day here in my living room. This is one of the fragrances that actually did really well. I would say, again, first hour and a half, it was, I didn't really smell a ton. I could walk by it and smell it every once in a while. But after about the 2 hour mark, this one really took off for me. And again, it was in a hurricane. But I would say it was a good solid 7.5 in terms of, I would say the strength was about a 7, but the projection was pretty good. The projection was about an 8 in a hurricane. So that's why I say sometimes with caramel sundaes, and every candle brand, right? Sometimes I get fragrances that they really take off and do well, and other ones you're just like, I don't smell it as strongly. I don't know what's going on. So that summer sorbet, though, is so far a hit. I actually think I'm going to plan to burn that with Kringle's cherry pie, and see what kind of combo I got going there. And then the last candle that I ended up purchasing was one that was not even on my radar until the day of the restock. And I kept looking at the fragrance notes and I was like, I actually think I'm interested in that. And it is the fragrance Cranberry Coconut Cream. I did post about this over on my Instagram account over the weekend. And the fragrance notes on Cranberry Coconut Cream are top notes of mango and sweet cranberry, mid notes of coconut milk and peach, base note of sugar, orange, and Tahitian vanilla. And here's the thing with this one. It is that cranberry note that I recognize in their pistachio cranberry. But there's more sweetness to this because you do smell a little bit of that citrus, like orange. Mango, I'm not always a fan of. Mango and peach together, but I don't get anything like remotely cat urine-like about this. This is really nice. It's a little bit more tart. Again, but this is like, I think it's the mix with the Tahitian vanilla and the coconut cream that keeps this from being a fall cranberry type of fragrance. There's something about this is a little bit more lighter, airy type of cranberry. It's sweet, tart cranberry, not like the candy sweet tart, but like it's equal parts sweet and tart, whereas sometimes cranberry in the fall can be really tart. But that's what I get here. It's like you smell it and it kind of like, it like hits your nose a little bit, but when it's burning, it kind of mellows down a little bit. This was another fragrance that I will tell you, I feel like the strength on this one is probably, again, maybe around like a 7 in a hurricane. Again, this one took a little bit longer for me to start really smelling throughout the open concept. And here's the other thing. I mention this all the time. All the time I mention this, but just like to bear repeating. Those of us who are accustomed to fragrance, oftentimes we go nose blind to what we are burning until you walk out of the room and then you walk back in. Or maybe, if you have people home and you've stepped out for for a little while, and then you come back home and you're like, oh yeah, I thought I wasn't smelling that fragrance, but then when you walk in, you are. And the ultimate test is also oftentimes if other people walk into your home, they might walk in and say, oh, it smells really good in here, and you're like, oh, I can barely smell that. It's always interesting. But this was one that, again, I had it burning in a hurricane. Now, one of the things that I actually see this being a wonderful pairing with, I think that this will burn really nicely with their Cranberry Pistachio fragrance, which is making a return at the end of June. It is on my wish list, spoiler alert, because I did already have that candle before and I really enjoy it. So yeah, that is another one that I decided to purchase last minute because I knew how much I really like how they do cranberry fragrances. So that is it for my haul. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Let me know in the comment box down below if you purchased any of these candles, or maybe the perfume mist or the laundry soap cleaner. Let me know what your experience has been. I will make sure to, like I said, follow up with some post-burn reviews. A couple of these, like I could see myself doing the coconut cream and the cranberry coconut cream and the, the summer sorbet. I could see myself doing those a little bit earlier, but the other ones I probably won't have reviews on for at least another month because I'm really trying to work through a lot of my summer fragrances, particularly here in the month of June. I do have a little bit of travel plans both in early July, and then I realized I'm going to get back and I'm probably going to be starting to crave some fall transitional fragrances at that point. And then I also have a longer trip planned in August. So I'm really all of a sudden starting to feel like, oh wow, I only really have the month of June to kind of finish up a lot of these summer fragrances. So anyways, I will make sure though at some point, as long as you're subscribed to my channel, you won't miss out on all of my dedicated post-burn reviews. So once again, I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. I will make sure to do a June restock wish list for all of you guys. Again, subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on that. I do want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for spending the time today with me and for patiently waiting for this video. I warned you guys in my candle chat that things are a little bit, I would say they're a little bit more laissez-faire in the summertime here because my kids are home. We are going to the pool. I'm just prioritizing spending more time with them. So things might be a little bit off kilter here on my channel for a while, but just here in the summer, I would say. But anyways, I do appreciate those of you guys who keep showing up, who keep commenting, who keep liking the videos. Genuinely, I do appreciate all of you. So until my next one, y'all, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.